right. Let me check and see if we're live real quick. If anybody's on, can confirm for me, that'd be great. If we are, hello and welcome to the Nebraska Cornhuskers post-game. My name is Justin Adams, and I am going to be taking over this season for your post-games, and hopefully have some that are a little bit more, happy than tonight, to put it lightly. Big thing is there's a lot to like, and there's a lot to dislike. Absolutely just gutted at the loss, right? But we can't let that fully, just kind of get away from us. And we got to look at the positives. The defense, unbelievable performance by the defense. Turnovers, and then again, just penalties. Thanks for that, Josh. Appreciate it. Penalties and turnovers. It's one of those things. Those things are just going to be hard to break, these bad habits of some of these guys who've been playing in this university for a few years and have instilled some of those, that bad culture that Frost had in there. And it's down to the basics. You just can't get false starts on first down. You cannot get down to the goal line and get a penalty. And then to subsequently turn the ball over. I understand the call wasn't, what we thought it. I thought it was a touchdown. However, with the camera angles, what they were, that one had to stand no matter what. But yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more here. First things first, if y'all want to drop your comments in here, I'll be able to address some of those, and we can talk a little bit with y'all about what y'all thought of the game and everything. Just really, really curious to see if anybody does. Yeah, Fox, just kind of, what you were talking about is just you still feel good about this year, right? And that's the thing I think we should all take away, right? We were 7.5-point underdogs. A lot of people, most, were projecting us to lose this game but cover the spread. I'm not a big fan of moral victories. However, in Matt Rule's first season, we have to be able to accept progress, because what we've seen in previous years is what we thought was progress immediately followed up just by this roller coaster of an up and down system, right? What we saw today was a lot different than what we typically see until the very end. And like I said, we'll get into that a little bit more. But first, I'll just kind of get into a little bit of the numbers here. Jeff Sims, 11 for 19, 114 yards, 3 picks. That was huge. His interceptions, it was just some of them inexplicable. I don't understand kind of his pocket presence right now. I think he does need to get a lot more comfortable in the pocket. There were sometimes the pressure was coming off the left side. Jeff Sims could have stepped around that pressure, but instead he backs up, and then he ends up taking a big loss, or he's backing up too far. The edges rush in and they contain him and he can't get out of it. It's a recipe for disaster. And like I said, Rule, while he is implementing a lot of his culture, and a lot of that has taken place over the course of this off season, old habits die hard. Like I said, a lot of these kids have been in the program for a while. Old habits die hard. But I don't want to focus too much on the negative. I do want to get to some of the positive. We'll take some of your confidence. This was a big one for me. Grant, right? We knew from camp Grant's issue was fumbles. It's inexplicable to me why he's in the game at that point. If you have a guy who struggles with ball security, and you're a team with notoriously bad luck with ball security and in the fourth quarter with a lead, I don't think there's any chance there you keep him in. Gabe Ervin, if Gabe Ervin has been the guy this fall camp, he's got to be your go-to in that moment. I don't understand that. I don't understand why Gabe Ervin wasn't used more in this game. Gabe Ervin had 7 carries for 55 yards. That's an average of 7.9 per carry. Anthony Grant, 9 carries for 27 yards. That's 3 per carry. That one's going to be a question that's probably going to be asked at the post-game presser to him. So we should hopefully get an answer on that. Hopefully we don't get a roundabout answer. But let's move on here to a little bit. Why in the world is Grant running the ball? Same thing. Yeah, a lot of questions about the Grant. And I knew that was going to be a big question. That was a big question for me. And as soon as he lost that ball, because I kind of looked away. I looked back and I was like, is that Anthony Grant? Like it was like it had to be. Like I was like, I just assumed that they had put Anthony Grant in the game because he fumbled. And I'm sorry, but until he fixed that, Gabe Ervin has to get 70% ish of the snaps at running back and 70% of the carries. That can't continue. And until Anthony Grant proves that he can come into the first few quarters and be able to keep the ball off the ground and be able to put a drive together and actually get some efficient carries, it doesn't make sense to me. But again, it's too early to question Rhule's decisions. It's game one. I knew there was going to be a lot of growing pains. We knew there was going to be a lot of growing pains. The reason it hurts is because we were right there. That's why it hurts so bad, is because it was the manner in which we lost again. Let's get into look better at times. Still needs, yes. That is another thing too. We have a lot of young guys, especially our offensive weapons, very, very young guys, right? Inexperience is going to cause a lot of headaches over the course of the season. I'm excited to see these guys grow over the course of the year, but I will say that what we saw today is a great, great point to build from. We go into the next couple of weeks with a little bit of a lull in the schedule. I don't count anything as a easy victory, but should wins. And we really are going to need that in going into the Michigan game. Michigan, we have to clean a lot up over the next 2 weeks to even be in a ball game with Michigan. And about the officiating. So, y'all's take on that, probably similar to mine. I thought he got over the plane. That was a product, in my opinion, of just really bad camera angles. The official was right in the way of the one that lined up the ball, his elbow being off the ground and his lower body. That was the camera angle we needed to pair up with that side angle. Since we didn't have that one and the official standing in the way, which is also the official's fault. I mean, if we're being honest, it stood. And I would love to point at that and say that's the reason we lost. But I think we've done that. I've done that too much in the previous years of pointing to one or two errors in officiating or something big in the game. However, that you can't turn the ball over 4 times and then blame one call by the officials. It's just not. We're doing a disservice, and we need to really focus on what's going wrong and not the breaks of the game. Those are going to happen. Minnesota with roughing the punter, they made mistakes too. It's just come down to making plays, and we're not making. They made plays in the fourth quarter. Matt Rhule has been consistent on winning the fourth quarter. So I know that this is going to be a big sticking point going forward in the practices and what he's going to focus on. I don't want to ever say that there's a such thing as a good loss. But I will say that this might be necessary. This might be necessary in the process of learning to win these games. We haven't learned to win 1-score games. We know that. And I know we were excited thinking we might. I mean, Fox was showing the graphics, our record in 1-score games, kind of getting us all a little amped up there. And that's what makes it hurt so much again. But again, to introduce myself to the people who just joined in, my name is Justin Adams. I'm going to be covering the Husker post games. I'm also going to be occasionally on the live with Greg Peterson and Mark over on the Tuesday lives. So if y'all tune into those, if you don't mind just leaving a like, comment. I love to hear y'all's comments. I want to make this as make y'all participate in this as much as possible and have this as interactive as possible. I want it to be a celebration tonight. You know, I really did. I wanted to celebrate with y'all. I wanted to be the reason we won. And just did. But winning record, I'll still take the credit if we get a winning record. 7-5. All right, so let me get into a little bit more of the comments here. So this one was interesting. There wasn't holding calls, but I'm okay with that as long as the game's called even on both sides. Like I'm okay with that. All right. Can y'all hear me? Are we live? Let me double check. Sorry if y'all can hear me. I apologize about that. I'm in Arizona and we are currently having a monsoon, and it knocked my power out about 6 times. Every time I get it almost fired back up, it fluctuates again. So I do think I'm up here. And all right, I'll get it back to rolling here. So let me pull up my name here. So if anybody else joined while we're on a dark screen, my name is Justin Adams. I am your host for the Husker Postgames this year. And I also the owner of the Cheesy Corn Sports YouTube channel. It's about fantasy football. If any of y'all are interested, just pop over there and check it out. But we'll get back into this. So Nebraska, Minnesota. Let me pull up y'all's comments here. All right. Again, I apologize for that. It's crazy. We never really have power outages here, and then tonight it wants to add to the problem. If y'all can hear the thunder. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get everything back up here. Okay. So yeah, kind of what we were talking about earlier. Especially when it comes to the small lapses, right? And what we can take away from this game. The one thing I do want to take away is I do like the offense. I like the new offensive system, right? I question some of the play calls and some of the situations. I did like the little wrinkles, throwing Harburg in there and getting him out on a pass play. If we can implement some stuff like that later down the road, that stuff can lead to a lot of trick plays, gadget plays, and stuff like that. Hopefully not as stressful as the gadget play that we scored on today. That's another thing I want to get to. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. I am live and we are rolling. I just want to make sure we get some people back in here. Okay. Interesting comments. I don't okay. We have that one. That I like that one. Okay, that's interesting. Excellent, coach. Yeah, exactly. It's we all knew this, right? We know Matt Rule's a program builder. We know it's going to take him time to turn the Nebraska program around. We know it's going to take him, the thing is with us, there is potential in year one more so than it was at Baylor or Temple because of the talent, right? These next 2 weeks are going to be the key to that. If we make mistakes and these games are in any way close, I regardless whether we win or lose, I feel like if these next couple games are close, that's a bad omen going to the Michigan game. What I said earlier with this being almost potentially could be a great learning experience for these guys, so they can learn how to win, right? think my audio interface is back up. I extremely sincerely apologize about this. Again, very bad dust storm going on, and my power has fluctuated about 7 times. Every time I have to start this back over, try to regroup. So bear with me, please. This is pretty much about how my life goes, though. So if you like chaos, you should join me here more often, because this, like I said, this is typically how it goes. All right, let's get into some more of these comments, because every time I start talking, it seems that the power goes out. I'd rather get blown out. I see that one. I say that a lot as far as my personal feelings go, right? But if we would have got blown out tonight, let's see what that national conversation would have been like. And I think that's the one thing that I don't want to hear is just, well, we're already going to hear with the 1-score losses, but I don't want to deal with people just completely dismissing us because we got blown out by Minnesota. Again, there was a lot to take away that I liked here, and I think we should focus on a lot of that. We knew this season that it wasn't going to be perfect, and we knew Minnesota was going to be a very, very tough opener. We didn't get a cupcake this year. We did get a tough Minnesota team. They're very, very good. PJ Fleck has that team. They don't really beat themselves, as you can tell. They have that culture built right there. And they do what they do very well. We did a very good job of trying to disrupt that a lot tonight. But we beat ourselves again. And again, earlier, the comment about the, if anybody is here that wasn't here earlier, the comment about the one before the half where the ball broke the plane, quote unquote, broke the plane. I thought it broke the plane too as well. However, that's, we can't really, we got to put the credit and put the blame where it's due, and we got to really, really clean up these turnovers. Anthony Grant, again, should not be in the game at that point. That should be Gabe Irvin. If he earned that in fall camp, that should be his ball right there. Satterfield 100% to blame tonight. So I do think there was some questionable play calling, but again, it's too early, I think, to really call out the coaches fully. Like I said, we can call into question some of the play calls, but I'm not 100% sure just how confident they are rolling out, too many different. It seemed like what they were trying to do is disrupt a lot of things with a lot of movement and a lot of just kind of wrinkles. Again, the play we scored on was a broken play. That's also something unfortunate that our one touchdown came on a broken play. That's something that we need to point to and understand that we very well could have not scored a touchdown this game had that not happened. So there's a lot on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of it's the wide receiver room. We got to get some wide receiver talent. We got talent, but we got to get the experience guy. We're just that wide receiver room is just so banged up right now, and the offensive line, it wasn't good by any stretch, but it did its job most of the time. Jeff Sims' pocket awareness to me is what stood out as something that needs to get better. There were many opportunities where Jeff Sims could have stepped up in the pocket, stepped left, stepped right, kept his eyes downfield, but instead he keeps backing up until the pocket collapses on him. Then he's just in no way, shape, or form going to be able to get out of that. And then that, a little bit of that led to him trying to force some throws into some tight windows. He made some great throws, but he made some very, very bad throws as well. That's something, if they want him at 65% completion percentage, they're going to have to tighten that up and try to get him on some. I think we need to get Jeff Sims going on some RPOs, some quick hitting routes to get the ball moving. And once the ball is moving, Jeff Sims was operating. But we got to do a better job of being able to come out there on first and second down and be able to get 6 to 8 yards consistently, not get a false start on first down, not get a false start on the goal line. So what Satterfield did at SC, I mean, very, very similar, of course, in style. But I don't want to sell him short there. I do think he's going to implement just a little bit of a different style here, because I do think Matt Rule has a specific way he wants this to run, and I do think he's going to have a lot of say in how this transpires over the course of the year. Like I said, a lot to like, and a lot to not like. It hurts because we were so close, and it's another one-score game. So. Right here at the bottom, you'll see our Patreon for Mark Rogers. He puts his live betting stuff there. And then, of course, the main channel, the Voice of College Football channel, it was streamed for 24 hours today. It's still going. So after the conclusion of this, if y'all want to pop over there, say what's up on that channel, I might hop on there a little later if my power stays on. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some more of your comments if y'all want to drop them down here a little bit. Go on into the stat line a little bit. Jeff Sims, 11 for 19. I'm gonna pull it back up here. I lost everything. And one thing I did want to point out too, the Hartzog play, right? That to me right there is one of the most basic routine plays, and I think Hartzog might have just got. It's hard to think about hey, I got two guys inside to help me. I need to protect this outside. Instead, he's wanting to make a play. It almost looked like he just wanted to make a play too much. He bit too hard on the inside fake. He went outside. Once you bite on that inside fake, it's over. He's got the step, and then he made the catch, and it was a great throw. Their quarterback did very well. It made some really good throws, but he had a lot of time. We're not dialing up pressure. Nebraska's got to get more pressure. We had more pressures in the second half, but it's a lot of over pursuing. We're not running to the ball. We're over pursuing the quarterback. He's able to scramble out right for 20 yards, keep his eyes upfield, and actually make a play. And it's got to be more so bringing hats surrounding the ball, kind of like Minnesota did. What Minnesota did is they collapsed the pocket very well around Jeff Sims. That way he couldn't escape. What I feel like Nebraska was doing is when we would get pressure, sorry, I moved my camera around a little bit. When we would get pressure, we would leave that backside open. He would sneak out to the right, and then we just have a guy over there that had to choose. Am I going to stay and defend, or am I going to push the quarterback? Am I going to blitz him? And it puts guys in a lot of bad spots, because if we got four hats at the ball, we don't have that many on the field. So if a guy has to come up, that's going to leave a guy open. And that happened a couple times in this game. We got to find a way to just get some contains in that pocket, even though he wasn't in that. He's not a very mobile QB, but he can move. D-line was scary. Yeah. Yeah. It's the D-line. Our D-line is what it is, right? Ty Robinson going out hurt. What we're going to have to do is get way more creative on bringing our linebackers on some stunts. It's got to be confusion, because we're going to go get some very, very good offensive lines this year, and that's not going to cut it. And that was the same issue last year. No pressures, not getting to the quarterback, which put extra stress on our secondary and left us, you put those guys on an island out there, and it's going to be a bad day. We have a very good secondary, but the pass rush can leave those guys out to dry a lot of times. And there was a play later on in that fourth quarter. He was just standing back in that pocket, and I'm telling you, that line picked up every one of our players. Not a single person could break off the engagement. Not a single person broke off the engagement, even after he threw the ball. It wasn't like one of those things where he's back there for 6-7 seconds and then we're breaking free and then he's throwing it. They had that thing blocked up, and it was just straight on pressure. There was no second guy coming from the second level. There's no confusion trying to bring the DB up. It was just a lot of vanilla, which I expected. We can't do too much when we can't play within ourselves and not make mistakes. You can't ask them to stretch out too much into the playbook and do too many crazy things when we can't even get out of our own way half the time. But another thing, biggest thing that we always run into, it seems, false starts. False starts, it's like first down, false start. goal line, false start. It's been the biggest thorn in our side for years. And I just think that's going to be a pain in our butts for a little while until Matt Rule kind of breaks those bad habits out of those guys completely and fully. So, all right. Let me see if I missed any more comments here. Oh, okay, cool. So, pull up. So yeah, Kalikamakis, right? I think I said that right. I don't know. I should have learned from the broadcast, but I'm just not good at pronouncing names. 24 for 44, 196 yards, 4.5 yards per catch or per pass. So this was my thing. His average depth of target was very low, right? He wasn't out there doing anything extra special. And this is what I alluded to with Sims that we might need to start doing to make things a little bit easier on them, to get the flow of the offense going. We got to get some of those quick hitting routes. That's what they were doing very well. They were getting guys in the soft pockets, right? They were finding places to sit and throw, or they were just getting them on a quick route and they were getting some yards. And it wasn't much. It was nickel and diming us. I feel like they went to third down almost every time and they would pick it up. And that's why we only had, up until that last drive of the fourth quarter, 12 plays on offense. That's just not going to get it done. The fact that we were within 3 points when that was the case, it was just kind of, at that point, running 12 plays, we should not have been in that game against a good offense. But not a whole lot on the ground for them, which is surprising. 10 carries for Sean Tyler, 41 yards, 4.11 yard, like that was his long. 55 yards. I do think that probably was not expected by the coaching staff. Not a whole lot of offense in general. It's just inexplicable timing, man. Turnovers. Get into a little bit of the team stats here. Sorry, let me get over to team stats here. Okay, so 295 yards, Nebraska, 251 yards. This is one thing I want to point out. How many times have we seen this story? Nebraska outgains the opponent, almost sometimes by double, 29-18 to 30-42 for the time of possession. 4 turnovers, 1 turnover, 18-20. Right there. Everything is almost identical, but the turnovers. It's crazy. It's almost like that determines whether you win and lose the game. And the one thing they couldn't do is just bring in Anthony Grant. If they don't bring in Anthony Grant there to run that ball, we're talking a completely different game here right now. But yeah, everybody else who has made it in a little later. Okay, who won? I just got off the Bama here, by the way. I hate to miss the game. We didn't win. So it was Minnesota 13. I'll pop it there. Minnesota 13, Nebraska 10. Lost on the last second field goal after, honestly, giving up. I think if we give up, I think that kicker might have made that thing from 60. I don't think that last play really hurt us. But even just giving up that easy 10-yard run right there at the very, or 11-yard run at the very end, that was the longest run of the game at the very, very end when we needed to stop them most. But that set them up for that game-winning field goal. Special teams looked good. I did like our special teams. Billy Kemp, I'm very, very excited about. We didn't get to see him too much tonight, but I do think he's just going to be a key in this team. But special teams, we do need to just credit our special teams. Round of applause. We made some plays on special teams, and the biggest thing is we didn't make a ton of mistakes on special teams, right? And we haven't been able to say that for a while because special teams has been almost an afterthought in years past. Matt Rule is really putting the focus on putting starters on the special teams. So that way he's got the guys who are stepping up in practice and throughout, the games. And those guys are getting the play time on special teams too. And it's not the guys 3 deep on the depth chart that are making those mistakes, which totally makes sense, right? Special teams is not an afterthought, should never be. So people, they don't want to, teams don't want to risk, coaches don't want to risk injuries on special teams. So they're afraid to throw their starters out there. We saw just how much of an improvement just that was. Those guys were flying to the football. They were the only thing special teams wise that really was that, it wasn't any fault of Billy Kim. So he had to let that roll. I mean, of course we had to start on the one. I was like, what other way we start this year than starting to have to go 99 yards? Thanks, Ladarius. Yeah, we're struggling through it. And even now in the post game, my power's gone out about 6 times. So it's just, but we're here and we're having fun. I'm having fun. Now that I think, actually, I'm not going to jinx it. All right, guys. So just a little bit of housekeeping stuff here again. Nebraska Post Game, the voice of college football, the main channel, the voice of college football. Go over there, subscribe. Again, he's going to be going live well into the morning, I believe 5 a.m. Eastern. So feel free to pop over there after this is done. His power is not going out, so you might have a little bit more of a consistent, less scatterbrained stream. I promise this will be better next time when I stop losing all my stuff. But I'll get back into some more y'all's comments here. Yeah, well, so this was my thing, right? It's if we win that game, no, I really don't think we're sitting here and we're splitting hairs with Satterfield. I think we're like, okay, we and that's kind of what I want to point out. Like the win and the loss is why we're focusing on these things. If we win that game, I don't think we're pointing out Satterfield's flaws. I think we're like, okay, we have a lot to grow on. And I don't think the way that ended should change that. Again, focus on what we did well. It's hard to do, we're struggling with that. We're struggling through it. But yeah, that and it's just it's the same old thing. Appreciate y'all hopping in here. Appreciate y'all's comments though. Sims. All right, so the thing with Sims, right? It's decision making. It's actual making quick decisions. That's what worries me, right? Because as a quarterback, your decision making, you shouldn't be learning to be decisive at this juncture. And I hope that it was just kind of the new today, just getting in there, getting the feel for it. But he does have to be a lot more decisive. If it's not open, get rid of the ball. He trusts his legs a lot. I get that. However, there are some fast defenses in the Big Ten. This isn't Georgia Tech. There's speed in the Big Ten. And he's not going to always be able to make it happen with his legs. He needs to step up in the pocket. He needs to be able to evade the pocket. Instead of backing up, I think in the past he's been able to back up, run around a little bit and get free. When you got good defenses that are really good at containing, it's just not going to work. Kyle, I do get your point, right? But I still just think we got to give it more time. He is going to try to teach us stuff, but this is stuff he should have learned well before. Decision making should come well before you get to this level. So that's not on Satterfield. I think that's just a progression thing over the course of his career with the coaches he's had so far. But again, I don't want to criticize him right now or anybody right now. We have a lot left to be seen this season. I feel a lot better after week 1 this year than I did last year, when the year we lost to Illinois. But Kyle, I do understand it's frustrating, right? Like we get frustrated and the first thing we got that helps us is to be able to point fingers and just find out somebody to blame. It's very, very hard to sit here and look at it and think like, okay, I like this. I like this. I like this. Moral victories are hard and I'm very competitive. So especially, if you're a competitive person, moral victories are just kind of make you feel good about yourself when you really did nothing. But in a situation where you have a program that needs rebuilding and Matt Rule coming in here as a program rebuilder, we needed to come into the season and know that that was the only way we were going to be able to kind of look at things objectively this year, because 7-5 is not off the table. You know, most people had us projected to lose to Minnesota. So it's not like we're off the trail here. Okay. 7.5 point underdogs. We lost by 7. We lost by 3. So, you know, good teams win, great teams cover if betting's legal in your state. But all right. No, Kyle, you're fine, man. This show's open for any opinions, man. I love to just, because I've been there. You know, I was there today during the game. I wanted to do that. Trust me. I have to stop myself. As a fan, I have to stop myself too. But no, you're fine, man. I appreciate your comment though. Drizzle stick. Satterfield, it's great tonight. Execution was like, yeah, it's a lot of execution. And like I said, the play calling was very vanilla, right? We're not going to expect to see this basic of a game plan all season, which is what we should be excited about. I think what we should be excited about is what we're talking about right now, and seeing the growth. And over the next 2 weeks, like I said, those are the get right games. Those are the games where we have to step out there and perform, because looming in week 4, we got Michigan. Okay. If this is happening during Michigan, we are in for a long, long night. The only way that we're ready for Michigan is we have to win those games, and we have to win those games convincingly. If we're winning those close games like we've done in years past, where we should have beaten teams by, you know, Northern Illinois, you know, teams like that we've lost to, Georgia Southern. I mean, let's not go into that one, but we have to get statement victories, and we haven't done that in years. We're going into every week that we can't call it a easy win. We just are past that point. Tackling was miles better. Yeah. Flying to the football, right? Effort. What do we see today? We saw effort. Flying hats to the football. There were times you see 6-7 guys flying to the football. And what did that do? When they would break away from attack or anything, there would be guys right there to follow up. Or the guys would know there's nowhere to go, and they would just try to get down, get out, or just get a couple extra yards to fall down. But tackling was great. Effort was great. That was the biggest thing, is the defense was playing with their hairs on fire. The offense looked confused. And that goes to Kyle's point. But again, we got to give them time, because you got a new QB, you got a new offensive coordinator, you got a lot of young receivers. We do have a lot of young receivers, but we have very talented receivers. Experience is huge. And that showed. The fact that I thought Marcus Washington should go. I'm waiting for him to get more involved, but it just seems like Marcus Washington is just, I don't know. It's like he's there, but we need that one alpha receiver to step up. Trey Palmer last year. That's what we didn't have in this game. Malachi Coleman. If Malachi Coleman can be that guy eventually, we need an alpha receiver, and that's what we don't have right now. I think that was the biggest thing with Jeff today, is he doesn't have a go-to guy. Borkacher, I don't even think was targeted very much. No, there was no consistency in targets. And that's, it's good if he spreads the ball around, is completing passes, but if he's spreading the ball around and it's kind of just ending like it is, 6 yards a pass, 114 yards, 11 for 19, 3 interceptions. He needs to find a hot read, a hot route. They need to design 1-2 quick reads with one hot read, and then they need to teach him from there how to operate, whether it be step up in the pocket, or just get rid of the football. He's got to get rid of the football more. He did it once in the back of the end zone. I liked that, but didn't do it much after that. That's what the Minnesota QB did very well. When the Minnesota QB would break pressure, he would do a very good job of scrambling away and getting it upfield or getting it out of bounds. He did not take a lot of sacks tonight. Our defense was in there a few times, and it's like we always over pursued. They always find a way to let him escape out the side. So that was puzzling to me. I thought we would get a heavy dose of Gabe Ervin, especially with as much as we've heard from camp about how Gabe Ervin was playing, how he was looking. He looks, dude's stacked. He's 6 foot 220, right? Muscle. He didn't get involved early, which I was surprised. And I thought Ramir Johnson was going to get involved more. I thought we were gonna really rotate those guys out. And I didn't think Anthony Grant was. I thought Anthony Grant was going to get rotated in early, and I didn't think we'd see him late. So the opposite happened. That was the biggest thing that I would like to point the finger at, is who made that decision to put Anthony Grant, the guy who's fumbled all of camp, and in at one of the most key points of the game. That's a very good question, and I'm not sure if they did that because they thought maybe it would throw them off if they didn't go heavy and start running the ball. But I knew, Kyle, I knew you were coming in with that. I knew it was coming. I try to say it and then save it because I'm waiting for your comment. But yeah, that was that might have been a Satterfield move. I can give you that one. That might have been a Satterfield move. If it was, we can blame him for that one. But as long as they get it right going forward, that's the biggest thing from last year that we didn't do, is when guys would make a mistake, Adrian Martinez, looking at you, we wouldn't pull them out. It was the good old boys club. He liked the guys he liked, and they didn't get held accountable. I think this should be, if it wasn't holding Anthony Grant accountable enough to put him third on the depth chart, you got to start pulling some playing time. He's a great runner. He's very, very physical. We've all seen that. Ball security and him wearing down. And today he didn't even run the football a ton. He should have been solid in there. And I feel like the most opportune time for him not to fumble is being fresh, right? Last year, he kind of got ran down towards the end of the year, and I felt like that helped. That made him struggle a little bit. But it was very, very inexplicable. I just can't wrap my head around that one. Okay, so he did say it was the running back coach's decision. Got it. Okay. Interesting. So that poses the question, right? So you say, because Grant usually does better on those runs than any other back. But do you want a guy who's consistently running that play well in practice better than, because it's not like a huge play. I don't imagine he'd be running that play much better than the other ones. But it was the timing of it that threw me off. Especially with how we've lost games in the past. Rule's got to have that in the back of his mind. Hey, I need to make sure I have my guys who can hold on to the football and keep everything locked in, at least in this first game. And then you can start playing with stuff later. Anthony Grant runs this play better. Let's try it out here. That's not the time. I don't think it's the time to I think you just have to go with the guys who've just been solid and have been solid throughout camp and who have continuously progressed. And there was too many questions with Anthony Grant. Anthony Grant, AJ Allen was a guy with a lot of questions. And once he was gone, we were, Anthony Grant was the answer until he wasn't. And then we started hearing that stuff about Rule. I think Ramir Johnson needs to get a lot more involved. When Ramir Johnson has been involved, he's a great change of pace back. If we can get him in space, even run him out of the slot. We don't have a lot of receivers. Run Ramir Johnson out of the slot. We can run Harburg out of the slot. They need to move Ramir Johnson around and get him a little bit. And he may even go, with it may just have to be Irvin and Ramir until, Anthony Grant can figure this out, because this just can't happen. He's got to be held accountable for this. Yeah, this is one thing. So in the Big Ten especially, right? What is it? Bell cow backs, right? Unless like Michigan, but they have like 3 bell cow backs, right? They have like 3 great backs. I don't know what the formula will ever be in the Big Ten with trying this rotation. You know, at Wisconsin, you got Braylon Allen, Ohio State, Travion Hughes, you know, Blake Corum at Michigan. It's tried and true. The same method is tried and true. The fact that we can't get a back to come in there, a 3-down back to be able to come in there and just consistently run the ball and be trusted to run the ball, like you have to in the Big Ten, that's going to be a big struggle for us because it's a battle of attrition in the Big Ten, right? We're trying to wear them down. They're trying to wear us down. What's the way to do that? Well, you got to get big. You got to get physical. Satterfield's good about getting big, right, and physical, but you got to do it with the right personnel, and we got to have the right personnel in the field. And I think they have to find a way to get one of these guys. I mean, they have the size. I don't understand why one of these guys cannot just be an every down back. Why we can't just put one in as an every down back and see, because the running backs just didn't have they didn't get anything rolling with them. I don't feel like they ran them enough to get everything going. Like Jeff Sims, 19 carries, which is about, I think what was projected between 15 and 19, I think. Gabe Irvin had 7 carries. Anthony Gray had 9. So 37 total carries, 19 of those came from the quarterback. How are you supposed to establish any kind of run game when all of your runs are scrambles? You know, a couple of them probably designed, but that was the biggest thing that threw me off. I thought we were going to come out there and I thought we were just going to really try to pound the rock early and often and use that to try to wear them down over the course of the game. I think that should be our method going forward, but I'm not sure if this is what the offense is going to look like, or if this was just one of those things where they threw this offense out there because of the opponent. Pistol times. Yeah. So again, there's a lot to like about the offense. Hang on 1 second here. Sorry, I got this on. Oh God, that's break. Sneak the end of half. The Booth was in play. Anyway. Yeah. So sneak at the end of the half. Yeah, that's one of those things that I think we're all going to question that. O-lineman. So the O-line thing, right? I alluded to this on a Tuesday show we did on the Tuesday Live on this channel. The offensive line, while experienced, there's not a lot of guys to rotate there. I think Matt Rule had said in one of the fall camp pressers that he had 7 guys that he was quote unquote comfortable with, right? And that to me stood out, because if he's saying we're comfortable with these guys, I don't think that really is a lot of confidence in the depth. And that showed again. And that was my biggest worry, is why I thought we needed to get out to an early lead, is I just don't think our offensive line is going to be able to hold up against some of these bigger and much deeper offensive lines, your Michigans and stuff like that, our defensive lines are, because there's just not the depth there. These guys are going to get run down. They're going to get wore down. And especially in a situation where the offense was playing like it was today, those guys, it was just scramble drills. Those guys were just, they had moments. I will say I saw improvements, but it's gonna take time. And I hate to say that I got my hopes up a little bit, but I did. Yeah, Minnesota, they're a good team. Like I said earlier, Minnesota does what they do very well, and they don't beat themselves. They're similar to Iowa, Kirk Ferentz. They got a system in there that works. It's never going to get them to be number 1 in the country. It's never going to get them to be a top 5 team. But they do what they do very, very well. And there's a reason why they're consistently winning, X amount of games every year. They don't beat themselves. There's a reason why Minnesota beats us by 1 score pretty much every year, outside of that one. But I'm pretty sure every other game outside of that has been a one-score game. And it's never due to talent. I still think we have the superior talent on the field. Just got to get this coaching under control. Today, though, the quarterback, they have the better quarterback on the field. But Jeff Sims got a lot to clean up. But there were a lot of great throws he made. So I'm not pounding the guy because I do think he's going to be a very, very good quarterback here. But he's just got to be a lot quicker and a lot better with his timing. Exactly. Yeah. Experience, yes. Talent, it hasn't been shown. I'll put it that way. They haven't really shown themselves to be a good offensive line. That was the biggest reason why this rebuild, that's why we're not going to win 9 games this year. It's the offensive line, as we know, is the biggest part on this team, but it's the one thing that was under-recruited and underdeveloped. And unfortunately, I do trust Raiola to get it right. And I do trust Raiola. September 16th, we have Brandon Baker coming in, number one offensive lineman, I believe, in the 2024 class. September 16th, he's coming in, and that's what we need. That one's we have what we have right now, and we're going to have to unlock what these talented guys, and the potential of these guys that we have until we can get some new guys in here. And unfortunately, it's going to be the growing pains of that. I don't think it's going to look great at any point in year one. I don't know if it's going to look very, very good in year one at any point. But I did see improvements in the O-line, and that I'll take, top 5. Yeah, they're a very good team. I'm just talking about top 5 in the country. Top 5 in the country is what I meant. They're never going to be a team that's like up there in the playoff hunt. I just want to go Bones. Yeah, exactly. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, let me get this back up. But yeah, no, I appreciate everybody. And if anybody else wants to comment in, just feel free to join the conversation. But yeah, it's painful. It is. I understand. And I feel it. And my night got more compounded by my power outages, but we were able to, for the ones that stuck it out with me, I appreciate y'all. We're going to be doing this after every game, every week. Hopefully I can bring y'all some wins, because I'd love to take the credit for those. I have my little koala back there. That's my good luck koala. All right. Right now it's bad luck koala, but fortunes will change. It's got a little Nebraska chain. So that koala, that's going to be, if we lose, it's his fault. But if we win, it's me. So, but yeah. So again, just the introduction to myself. My name is Justin Adams. Mark brought me on to do a little bit on the Husker channel and stuff like that. And I am, I'm extremely excited to have, go over the season with y'all. I have a lot of fun things coming. I want to make it very interactive for y'all. And if y'all have any recommendations for me, I'm open to taking some. I want to make this as fun as possible. So even in the losses, we can get in here and have a little fun. I co-host Cheesy Corn Sports on YouTube. Fun fact, the story behind that one, I'm, of course, a Husker fan. My buddy's a Packers fan. We were arguing at work about football all the time. Whoops, clicked the wrong thing. And we decided to buy a couple microphones and create a channel now. But we're very big into fantasy football. We're fantasy football analytical nerds. So if y'all do like fantasy football, y'all want to go, give us a follow over there, feel free. If not, right here. And then, yeah, backup generator. So it's funny. My girlfriend mentioned that, right? But I'm in Arizona. I never have power outages. So for me, it wasn't when I lived in Texas down by Houston, we had backup generators, but out here it's like almost not worth the money. I've had like 3 power outages since I moved to this house 2 years ago. And of course, one of them had to be tonight, but I didn't lose it fully. So, slogging it out. So Minnesota, all right, Minnesota's not mediocre in my opinion. I think Minnesota is if not for their difficult schedule, they have a very, very tough schedule. Well, going into the season, I thought they could be, Big Ten West contenders aside from the schedule. I thought that was going to, but as far as the team goes, tonight it's going to be interesting to see if tonight was more of our defense improvements or if it was their offense lacking, because that remains to be seen. I do want to get very, very confident in our defense. However, I want to see Minnesota's offense go against another team, and just get a little litmus test, and then we should know for sure how marketable of an improvement. But if Minnesota comes out with an Iowa type of offense, well, then we'll find out what our defense has in the Michigan game. Nebraska Jones. Yeah, it's too early to get into that. I appreciate your comment, but I don't want to get any coaching speculation. Just kind of one of the Minnesota Eggman team. Yeah, I can agree with that. Minnesota is very, very good, which is why I wasn't more upset with the loss today, because in the back of our minds we knew this was going to be a very, very hard fought game and a one-score game. And a lot of our minds, I think we weren't super confident in this one. 7.5 point underdogs. Again, good teams win, great teams cover. Okay, remember that. So yeah, appreciate everyone stopping in. I'm going to put this up here for y'all. We got Mark's Discord, and then again, the Voice of College Football channel. Mark has been streaming all day on that channel. It's been going on a 24-hour stream. So as soon as we hop off of here, if y'all want to hop over there, and again, I apologize for the scatterbrained episode that this became. I had everything up and I had a full plan in place. This kind of turned into a conversation, which I don't mind. I've enjoyed this conversation and stuff like that, and I do want to make it more interactive everybody a week. But Sims take. Yeah, so I think the thing with Sims taking hits, I think Sims has got to learn. One thing I point out to people is it's very interesting on especially undersized quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, right? Look at Russell Wilson, for instance. Russell Wilson, not a big guy, 5'10", but he remained fairly healthy his career. What Russell Wilson was really good at is he's good at not taking contact. He either deflects the contact or get out of bounds. But then you see a guy like Robert Griffin III, and you have Robert Griffin III trying to lower his shoulder into linebackers, and led to him having an injury-filled career. Jeff Sims not a small guy, but to your point, he can't take these big hits, especially in the Big Ten with as many athletes. Oh, this lightning's getting bad. With the amount of athletes they have in there, like, again, he can get away with this stuff at Georgia Tech and the opponents that they played, but it's going to wear on him, and he's got to start getting out of bounds, and he's got to just start getting down. A couple times, one of those times he got hit low in the leg, on the side of the leg, and there was a couple times where I held my breath. I'm not going to lie to you there. I appreciate that. I appreciate it, Drizzle. I'm okay in operating under high stress. However, I just did not know how this was going to let me do this. I didn't know if I was going to lose my power completely, but I appreciate it. You're 8-6 last year. Yeah, the West compared to the East, the West is bad, and that bodes well for us. I appreciate that, because I don't want to have to deal with the I-State Michigan every single year. But Michigan is going to be a tough one for us. I will be out in Nebraska for that game, so I will not be doing the post game for that one. So the defense with the run game. What I liked today, right, was Minnesota averaged 2.2 yards per carry. They only ran the ball 25 times. They averaged 2.2 yards per carry. But with a lot of these teams that we're going to have coming up, it's going to be, they're not going to run the ball 25 times. They're going to run the ball 45 times. So yes, our defense can hold up when the team's running 25 times. But it is yet to be seen when a team runs the ball at us 40 times, how that's going to hold up. Again, I'm very hesitant to say I love our defense. Very hesitant to say it's good yet, just because of those key factors. We got to factor that stuff in. 25 carries, not a whole lot, but we did hold him 2.2 yards per carry. 24-44 passing, which is, that's not a very good completion percentage. However, he made the throws when he needed to and only averaged 4.5 yards per pass. Again, we got to get Jeff Sims on these quick hitters. Jeff Sims, until his decision-making improves, he's got to have some hot routes. He's got to get on these quick slants. He's got to have some quick swing passes, something. There has to be an option for him outside of what he's doing. Again, because worked at Georgia Tech with his feet is not going to work in the Big Ten. There are too many good athletes, too much talent, and I think he learned a lot today. I will say that there was a lot of good, and I will switch over to the good. Jeff Sims is going to learn a lot from today, and this is where we're going to find out whether we like Jeff Sims or not. This game, the first game, is not going to show us whether we like him or not. I think what's going to show us whether we like Jeff Sims or not is how he responds from this. That's going to be a true test of his character, and that's going to be a true test of what we haven't had in the past. Adrian Martinez didn't seem to learn from his mistakes. Casey Thompson, I think he had a lot of reliance on Trey Palmer, but Casey, quick year. But how he responds from this and how the team responds for this is the biggest thing that we have yet to be seen. We can focus in on the numbers, but we know big picture. This team has never responded well to adversity. I don't even think I think it's nice to say responding poorly. It's been abysmal, to put it lightly. This is going to be the big test of Rule's culture, is how this team responds. And I have a lot of faith in Rule, because I feel like Rule can talk, my piano into running through that wall right there, because man can talk. I think he has these players bought in, and I think where he goes, where he leads, they'll follow. And I think this team's going to have a lot of character. And I think we're going to see improvements over the course of this year. This is just the beginning again. Yep. I'm a Texans fan too, so it gets worse. It gets more rough for me. Don't worry. Big Ten West, Iowa, Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, Minnesota. So I'm not St. Dominic's Rosary. I apologize for if there was confusion, or if you're talking to me, I'm not sure. I don't think we're in good shape to win the Big Ten West. I think we're in good shape to make improvements, but I in no way am predicting us to win the Big Ten West. So unless that was for somebody else, I apologize. That was somebody else. Big mistake, return of opportunities. Yeah, I got to see more of the defense to see kind of what he eventually throws in there. Again, I think some of the play calling, I don't know if it was very vanilla today because they don't want to make too many mistakes. But I didn't see a lot of the pressures dialed up that I would like to. I didn't see a lot of the confusion. I didn't see a lot of the stuff that I was expecting to see. Just to create a pass rush. But what I did see from the defense in the way they fell back into their zones and the way they played well in man coverage. But there was a lot of times where those receivers were able to sit down, and find a soft spot in the zone and stuff like that. And that's where I think we need to be able to throw little wrinkles. We need to have guys who are kind of almost spying out there and floating under, almost running some underneath the zone type of schemes, because we were just getting picked apart in the one-on-one, the quick passing game. The quick hitters were just tearing us apart, and that was putting them at second and short, third and short all game, and running the clock. They ran the clock like crazy in the first half. Again, we had 12 plays. We recovered in the second half and almost evened it out. But I know Matt Rule's focus is on the fourth quarter, but that first three, we got to start getting the lead in these first three quarters, like in a good lead, because I just don't think this team has the horses to be able to come from behind in the fourth quarter against a lot of the teams we're going to play this year. I think it's going to be, we need to try to get an early start and hold on for dear life. We're just not deep enough yet. We're Minnesota, Iowa, teams like that, 2 or 3 deep. With Matt Rule's guys, like I said, he's got 7 offensive line he's comfortable with. 7 offensive linemen he's comfortable with. That's not enough to get a rotation in there that's going to be able to sustain over the course of the year. So in style, right? In style, I see that. Execution. Now, I will say some of these arguments for that get convoluted, and he'll say Lamar Jackson-esque, and maybe alluding to play and style. So I'll give Sip the benefit of the doubt there, because I do like Sip. Sip's good, man. I like Sip a lot. Speaking of Sip, Greg Peterson is also on the Tuesday live stream. If y'all ever tune in for that, Mark, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday Husker Lives, and we'll go over deep dive a lot more of this in with the actual comments from the coaches and the players. So hopefully we'll have a lot of answers and a lot of things that we can break down then. But right now, I think they're probably going to keep a lot of it close to the vest, and I think we'll have some more stuff leaking out in their practice press conferences Monday and Tuesday. So he said he's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. I didn't hear that quote, or I didn't see that. So I want to see the quote before I comment. But yeah, I want to leave. I want to bring Sip into this. Sip ain't here to. I don't like bringing people into this who can't defend themselves. All right, I don't want to bring Sip in here, because Sip knows the stuff. I do know that. He could have had a bad take. I don't even want to count. Actually, I don't even get into how many bad takes I've had. But it's Colorado game, or I think. I don't give Colorado a shot. I don't even think, how many scholarship players does Colorado have? Colorado is far off. They're way further off than we are, and I can confidently say that. I do expect us. I think we're the spread opened for the Colorado game at 10. I think they're 17 to 21 point underdogs against TCU. So I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And everybody for the positive feedback. I really appreciate y'all. Again, it was, I was stressing out a little bit getting in here with all this stuff going on, but I appreciate it. Y'all made it a lot easier for me. So we're gonna have a lot of fun this season, guys. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here. A little bit of a wild stream, but I had a lot of fun with y'all, and hopefully I'll see y'all after a win on the next post game. But Tuesday, Huskers live stream. Greg Peterson, Mark, and myself will be on there. And like I said, we'll be breaking this stuff a little bit down further in detail with a lot of the comments and stuff like that, and really getting into the fine nitty gritty of what the coaches are saying, and what we know was their decisions, and what we know, kind of get some insight into that. Right now, it's a lot of questions, and we're questioning a lot of things, a lot of people, but we know how this goes until we get those answers, and we may not even get the right answers. We may get a lot of coach speak, but we'll break all that down. We'll get into all of that stuff. Thank you, Kyle. I don't know if he's a Heisman contender. Like, I need to see him play at a Power 5 level before I even call him a good quarterback. But yeah, no, he is a playmaker. I will agree with that. Per some, I do see that now. Sorry. Yeah, some are saying that. I'm not. Yeah, like I said, I got to see him, and there's a bad team around him. I don't see how you can put somebody in a Heisman conversation that has that poor a team around him. There's just no talent on that roster. I mean, they got a couple 5 stars on the defensive side, and of course they got Shadur Sanders. But outside of that, that team is a very, 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 very undersized and not talented. So exactly, Drizzle, way to close it out. And then I appreciate that. Thank you, Fong Wei. Did I say that?